All right, my peeps. Kova Cabal, yet again. Kova Cabal. We're back. We are back yet again with the Kova Cabal. Got some fun wines tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be an important one. Okay, it's going to be an important Kova Cabal. Look at how crazy I'm looking. But this is like the most ENTP look in the world. It's like the hair's out in every direction. I just got a screenshot here. Someone's going to be posting that on Twitter. Let's check out this wine before we get into this stuff. Let's get the momentum going because we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff happening. All right, first off, the wines. So I'm excited about this one, and here's why I'm excited, guys. All right, here's why I'm excited. Is because we are doing Greco di Tufo and Fiano di Avellino, but it's the same producer. Same producer. So you have the two most noble whites of probably southern Italy, but certainly Campania, Greco di Tufo, Fiano di Avellino. And this stuff, guys, these are good wines, and we got the two of them right next to each other from the same producer. So this is an opportunity to really understand the difference between these two wines. It's like a controlled experiment. Did Colty just screenshot that for the Spank Bank? See, Colty's so cheap because he's supposed to pay for that stuff. He's supposed to pay for that. He's always trying to sneak in these little picks. All right, now let's see here. So quick color difference between these two. So the Greco's a little bit more yellow. It's a little more. This one's, you can't see it as much in the light, but this is like a lemon green, and this is a lemon. Okay. Now, guys, these two grapes, real quick. The name of the grapes Greco di Tufo, which is basically indicating the type of the soil, right? I think it's I think that I can actually check it right here. Yeah, tough rock, I guess is what I call it. It's not tough like TOUGH, but it's a type of rock basically. My guess is it's kind of like calcareous because there's a lot of it's either going to be volcanic or it's going to be calcareic because those are the two soils in the area. So I don't know exactly, but that's what it's named after. And then you have Fiano di Avellino, which is a grape or an area that has massive history. Campania was where most of Rome got its best wine. Okay, remember the Bay of Naples. Little history lesson. So you have Rome up here, Campania down here. One of the first early conquests of Rome. This is where the Roman navy was based, right around here. Remember, we had Vesuvius here, and so Pompeii's right in this area as well. So this is where like the best wines of that time period came from, considered. And Fiano di Avellino was very different wine back then, but that was known for its wine, even back in the days. And actually, Avellino means bees, so it's Fiano of the bees. Kind of interesting. So let's try it out. Let's see what we got going on here. Ooh, so we got a lot of very sweet apples coming off on the nose here. Very, very creamy. I'm going to go to the next one first just to sniff it. So this one's more like pears. This one smells a little bit more refreshing, whereas the Greco smells a little bit more luscious. Spectacular. Spectacular white wine. Just a little bit of honey on the finish. It's like, it is like having a green apple, but not too tart of a green apple. Maybe a yellow apple. It's like having a yellow apple with maybe a little bit of honey. Great stuff. Great stuff. Let's try the Fiano. Really nice. Really nice. There's a little bit of a little bit more of a licorice here. This is like a red apple and licorice. See, that's the thing that's so cool about these wines. I can't say that one's better than the other. They're both similar in structure, which reflects the fact that they're from similar elevation. but there are two different grapes from two neighboring areas, very close by areas, and they both just show so great. And you can of course taste the producer as well, the consistency of the producer, what he goes for. Benito Ferrara, by the way, is the name of the producer, the company, obviously. Just little slight differences between them. They're very noticeable differences, but I could have any of these wines, and they're both incredible. I would not, I can't pick one. Maybe if I'm gonna pick one, I would go slightly with the Fiano, but only out of the fact that the pear, it's like the pear and licorice is such a really interesting combination here. The pears on the nose are really cool, so I might do that. Salmon, 2 bottles every night. 2 bottles every night, brother. How do you think I look like this? It's all the periscopes I gotta do for you guys. I'm going crazy, you know. I'm going crazy. The no, this stuff goes to my whole family, and so we actually got all the bottles from. I have bottles from 2 periscopes that are still open downstairs, so that's why we take some days off. We clear them up. Like I said, I'm probably doing about 3 glasses a night. It's probably about right. After these two, I'll have probably a glass of red. The Chiro from before. So anyway, wine's very good. Highly recommend this stuff, guys. Italian whites are great, but the Italian whites, you got like it's gonna cost me way more to. First, it's off as illegal. I can't do it. Actually, it's illegal to send alcohol overseas like that without a license. But Italian whites are incredible. But these two, I think, are known for being some of the best Italian whites out there. So get them. Greco de Tufo, Fiano di Avellino. All right, guys. The COVID cabal. Where are we at right now? Where are we at, guys? Where are we at? What's going on here? What do we got going on? Well, we got two big things going on. Right? 18 states and counting. The big one's a Texas lawsuit. And so, look, I'm telling you guys, and I'm not lecturing. You guys know, all right. I don't have to be the one to tell you guys at this point, but it's going to unfold how it's supposed to unfold. And so while all of us included, all of us were focused on these little dog and pony shows, whatever, that are going on in the state legislatures, which have been great for disclosure for the public, but we just keep hitting legal dead ends. And then what happens? Right? We get a lawsuit that completely even bypasses the fraud. It doesn't even need to deal with the fraud in order to get its point across. Texas files it. And let's think about this for a second. Why you gotta trust the plan, guys. This is why you gotta trust the plan. You remember back in the day, which was like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, they were talking about having Ted Cruz in to replace to replace Ginsburg. And Ted Cruz shot that down. Right? Ted Cruz shot it down. And then there was some stuff last week about Ted Cruz volunteering to be the person to present the argument. And then there's a case that comes out of Texas. Now it's been joined by 17 other states, and now Trump is joining it as well as I forget the exact terminology, but as a, non-litigant kind of person on it who adds his own complaint, which is why it's the real deal. And it's fast-tracked because I don't think I have to tell you guys at this point, but disputes between states have to go to SCOTUS automatically. They bypass everything else. And we have states that broke the Constitution and are taking the election, and that's the SCOTUS thing. It's going to be an auto win. It's auto win when you have 5 unbiased, uncorrupted, conservative-leaning justices. It's an auto win, guys. Auto win. And that was the strategy all along. There's this fucking retard here. Always more retards. Where are these people going to stop being retarded? I wonder if they will stop being retarded. We'll see. I guess we won't see because we're never going to see them again. They're going to crawl back into their hole. I'll get to the Facebook lawsuit. I'm not really sure about it, but I don't think we're going to get 6-3, guys. I don't think we're going to get 6-3. Roberts is very, very firmly controlled. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If we didn't have Amy Coney Barrett, I would not be talking like I was talking about how we're going to go to SCOTUS and we're going to win, because Roberts is completely controlled and bought off. So, but we don't have that. We have 5 justices. And you guys saw, did you guys see this? Trump retweeted the meme of Amy Coney Barrett with the light out of her eyes. They know this already, guys. They know what's happening. Yeah, it's Texas is bringing it, and other states are joining it, which adds pressure to it. There'll probably be more states by the end. We'll probably get half the states in the country by the end of this. SCOTUS is going to, it's looking more likely, guys, that SCOTUS is going to go 12th Amendment route. Maybe SCOTUS decides to throw out the mail-in ballots, but they're either going to throw out the mail-in ballots that came after the deadline that bypassed state legislature. Mark Levin, you guys pointed me out to this, which is a really great monologue by him, but he mentions that actually even the legislature broke the Constitution by changing things with the mail-in ballots. The Supreme Court probably won't touch that, because then they probably won't touch that, because that might be a little bit too far. But defending the legislature against the state courts and against the because that's also a state constitutional issue, which the SCOTUS is not going to deal with. But defending the legislature against the state legislature, against the state courts and the state governor, right, the state executive, that is a United States constitutional issue that affects every other state in the country, because then you basically have some states are bypassing the Constitution and how they conduct their elections. And so, yeah, that's we said at the same time their elections were unconstitutional. Bottom line, exactly. So, guys, it's auto win, and people, again, I understand that I'm not trying to be mean, but stop panicking when you see stuff like Alito denied the injunction. First off, an injunction isn't the full thing. It's just like it's not saying that we dismiss this case, but he's picking the thing that's most relevant and most viable. The fraud is going to get sorted out on a criminal level. Us talking about the fraud primarily is here for the population to wake up, so that when the criminal cases happen, the public's going to be aware of it already, and they're going to see that the entire system refused to address the fraud. SCOTUS it may go into the fraud, but they don't have to. They're definitely going to be taking either throwing out the ballots or the 12th Amendment route. Either one of these two things. The other big thing, though, when Trump joins it, maybe we do start to see fraud implemented as discovery in the civil case. That wouldn't surprise me. But I just want to emphasize that we don't even have to go through technical fraud stuff on the civil side to win this. It's going to happen. It's been happening for a while, and it was all planned out. You can see it was all planned out. Everybody, including the left, was focused on these fucking hearings, and they were trying to dismiss these random lawsuits. Meanwhile, the actual lawsuit that's going to kill them came out of the blue. Nobody saw the Texas lawsuit coming. I still think SCOTUS decision is going to come before or on the 14th. I do think that. And a lot of this stuff is, so let's talk about the different dates. Okay. There are 3 dates that are relevant here. The first date that was relevant to hear it was yesterday, the 8th, right? That's a safe harbor deadline. And that's what YouTube, et cetera, is using as their reason for the incoming social media suppression, which we're going to get to, which is the real reason this is an important periscope. And we're going to get to that. But the other really important thing with this, the other really, really important thing, other date is the 14th, because the 14th is by federal statute that the electors meet and actually decide who the president is. Now, the third date, well, they do have the authority to throw out ballots. They do have the authority. The question is, will they do it? They have the authority. You know, and I don't know which one they're going to do, because I actually lean a little bit more towards throwing out the ballots, simply because Alito gave an order to them to separate the ballots. So they're only going to go. My perspective is that they're only going to go 12th Amendment route if it's impossible to differentiate it. No, it's a good take, and I mean, really, we're all just guessing here. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but my thought is that Alito said that Pennsylvania had to separate ballots received after 8 p.m. on November the 3rd. They had to do that by Supreme Court order. Alito governs that circuit, and he told them to do that, and they didn't do it. So Alito will say, you had a Supreme Court order to separate those ballots, and you didn't do it. And so you have to throw out all those ballots. And if we can't throw out those ballots, then your entire state's electoral votes are illegitimate, which means we go to the 12th Amendment. It's gonna happen like that. I do think that there's going to be a new election, and this is how we get Trump supermajority, because it's too difficult to sort out. Like, you guys have been seeing what's going on in New York 22, right? One of the last House races yet to be decided. Republicans winning, and the judge is going to go check it out, and the judge finds like 60 ballots. He's like, "Oh, I just found 60 ballots." The fucking judge finds 60 ballots, and then the Republican pulled ahead again, and then somebody found like 12 ballots in a drawer. Like, you have to be a fucking idiot to think that this stuff is just happens. Right? You have to be, but there are people who are fucking idiots, and they don't get it. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, judge found 60 ballots in his room while he was counting, which put the Democrat ahead. Like, come on, guys, this is really like stupid. You have to really be insulting our intelligence to think that we're not seeing through this stuff. Yeah, Joe wasn't kidding. So who knows how it's going to end up playing out with the Supreme Court, which path they decide to take. On one hand, I think I would prefer them to throw out the ballots, because I think it'll be a little cleaner for the bets. But it's kind of cool to see the 12th Amendment. Actually be used. It's one of those things that people make, and it's like, 12th Amendment was a very complicated amendment. It's almost one of those amendments that, you kind of look at and be like, why did they put so much thought into this? But, the founding fathers were Hermeticists, and they knew all sorts of shit. They knew all this stuff, guys. They knew it. They prepared. I mean, the 12th Amendment obviously wasn't in the initial Constitution, but Amendments 11 and 12 were pretty much the same founding fathers, with, a little bit less, maybe. Some of them had died, but it was the same crew. The amendments after the 12th Amendment, I don't think you can consider anymore to be founding amendments. But, you obviously have the first 10, and I think 11 and 12 really count, because they were tweaks that the founding fathers made in the first 20 years of experimenting. Not even 20, like 11 years of experimenting with the Constitution. So, yes, state legislatures. So what happens is that it's House delegations, and they have to vote down party line. So every House delegation has to vote Republican, has to vote for the president. Every Senate delegation has to vote for vice president, and it's auto party line. It's going to be 30-19. It's a 30-19 Trump victory. There's just there's no other option. Basically, there's no other option, which is an interesting amendment. It's interesting that they decided to do that. But yeah, so we weren't paying attention to this stuff. We didn't know it was coming, but it happened. It hit. So we had these 3 dates. 8th, which is when they pick the electors, won't matter if we go 12th Amendment, which may be why the 12th Amendment is what's going to happen, guys. If we think about it, the Supreme Court could throw out electors, but if they've picked bad electors, then the 12th Amendment's probably where it goes because the 12th Amendment bypasses all of that stuff. I would guess that the 12th Amendment, if you had any bets on margins, they'd have to be voided. My guess, they'd have to be voided. If you had bets on winning the state, they're going to have to give it to Trump. What's difficult is if they had some specific terminology about the popular vote of the state. But you're not going to lose money on that. They're going to have to void it. Again, they're going to have to void it because they're just not, the stipulations changed. But Betfair doesn't have that. Betfair is aware of the actual American Constitution, unlike most betting services. And Betfair said very clearly that they're going to follow the outcome, whether it's SCOTUS decision, whether it's 12th Amendment. That's who wins the bet. SCOTUS is going to hear the case. I mean, I just guarantee you SCOTUS is going to hear the case. Trump just said he's filing as an addition to it. There's a 0% chance SCOTUS isn't going to hear the case. Guys, I've been trying to tell you since before the election that they were going to steal the election and it was going to go to SCOTUS. It's going to SCOTUS. Alito didn't say all this stuff. That the Supreme Court wasn't like, hey, we're not really happy about what you're doing here. We're not going to hear any cases. No, they're going to hear the case and it's going to get flipped and people are going to freak out. But so we had these dates, the 8th. We had the 8th, which was when the safe harbor deadline, which is when they pick the electors. And that's, again, we're going to talk about this with the social media stuff. And the 14th where the electors decide. But the final date is the 20th, 21st. And this, guys, this is where it's a hard deadline. That's the only thing that's constitutionally supported. I do not think it will go that far. However, I fucking hope it won't go that far because I'll be in a liquidity crisis if that goes that far. But it's fine. I'll just have to liquidate stuff and get the money back later. But tax consequences, etc. But look, Flynn did say today. He said that he emphasized that the inauguration day is the date that matters. The other dates don't matter. Okay? I, again, don't think that's how it's going to play out. Magenta mentions that she thought it was going to happen on the deadline or just after. Now, the question, when I mention these 3 dates, the question is, which deadline is she referring to? Now, she's obviously not referring to the inauguration because he has to win by the inauguration, and she admitted that herself. These other 2 dates are what's relevant. And what I think is that her sort of vision, because she doesn't really know these things, and she's not she doesn't know these things. She doesn't know American legal details. And she doesn't pretend to. She talks about the energetics, and she sees, images, and she understands deadlines as a concept. She doesn't know the details or the stuff that we talk about here legally. I think that when she said on or past the deadline, I think that what she's talking about is a safe harbor deadline, because the safe harbor deadline is what they're now claiming is the end for Trump, because now the electors against Trump have been picked. They haven't voted yet, but they've been picked. So I think that that's what she meant. And I think that a little bit after refers to the 14th. That's what I believe, guys. I believe that Trump said that the Electoral College will decide whether he's president or not. He did not say that they're going to change all these things and push it to the inauguration. I think everything that happens afterward is going to be criminal related. It's going to be the riots, the insurrection stuff. And we're gonna shift into this talk now. But I'm telling you guys, I still believe the 14th is the date. If we're going to stretch past the 14th, we're talking about up until the 18th max, because the 18th is when there's the government report on fraud. But my perspective is that Trump wins via SCOTUS on the 14th, and then people freak out for a couple of days, and then the government group on the 18th basically says that, which came from, by the way, the government group, this came from Trump's executive order reporting on election fraud, had to happen 45 days after the election. They're going to say on the 18th that, yeah, there was a lot of fucking fraud, and that's when the criminal stuff drops. And that's what we go through for the next month or whatever. That's what I think is going to happen. That's how I think it's going to play out. And I could be wrong. We're having fun here with these predictions. We only really know the outcomes. We only really know the outcomes, right? I don't know if Trump said done by Christmas. I mean, sorry, if Q said done by Christmas. I don't know because I'm not I follow the Q people, but guys, I don't do the details of trying to figure out all the Q comms. I aggregate Q people's posts and Q people's inferences, and then I try to give you stuff from that. I don't do that grunt work. I don't have any interest in it. I think that the error rate is extremely high, but I think it's great that the community exists. So I think Magenta's vision from the 9 was about December 8th, and that little bit after is referring to the 14th. So let's talk about the phase 2 here. And this is why all this stuff has been interesting, but I want to talk about the reason I said this was an important COVID cabal is because technically, not technically, but potentially, this is the last COVID cabal we could have for a couple days. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen, guys. We really, really don't know how this is going to play out. But what do we have right now? We have YouTube leading the charge, right? We have YouTube leading the charge. Saying that you can't talk about election fraud with Trump anymore. You can't say that they stole the election from Trump. Well, I think Tim Pool gave some specific stipulations, but effectively speaking, we are not in a position right now where, YouTube is going to be blocking accounts. They're going to be getting rid of accounts that say anything about Trump, having this election stolen from him because of fraud. They're going to get rid of your account because they're going to say it's been decided. You can't say this anymore. And YouTube is not going to be the last to do this. The other social media companies will follow suit. They will follow suit. And Q predicted that Trump's account was going to be shut down. So if that's going to happen, it's probably going to happen soon. And because they want to try to make everybody feel like it's over. They want everybody to feel like it's over. Honestly, guys, I mean, I have to say to a certain extent, I'm pretty happy because there's no way the bets were so high if it wasn't for complete disinformation on the part of the media. There's no way that if they knew what was going on, you would have been seeing, I'm not saying that you would have seen bets in Trump's favor, but you would have been seeing bets solidly under 10 to 1, under 10 to 1, solidly, probably under 5 to 1. But we were seeing, I got some money in, guys, at 34 to 1. Not the whole deal, but I got some money in at 34 to 1. You fucking believe that? Craziness? Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, I'm not entirely upset about it, but they're going to make a big crackdown. And what does this mean? It means Trump's account's going to disappear. Probably. We should be prepared for it. I am going to get some really nice wine, guys. I am going to get some really nice wine. I'll talk about that stuff. I don't want to, it's not about jinxing it, but it's not good form to talk about this stuff prior to the win. So after the win, I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to get. And I'll take some suggestions, but I will be getting, you have to, I want to just give you guys I want to just tell you something about money, real quick. A little aside about money. All this money, I mean, it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money. I have all my bets in. I might put one more down tomorrow. Okay, but I'm pretty much done. Okay, all this stuff, almost all of it's going to be invested. I'm not getting my Lambo. I'm not getting a Lambo. I don't give a fuck about that stuff. I really don't give a fuck about that stuff. I'm not getting a Lambo. It's all getting invested. The way I look at it is I'm giving myself a 5-year acceleration. That's the way I'm looking at it. A 5-year acceleration for my family, for myself. But you have to give yourself stuff. You do have to give yourself stuff. This is a rule of money. And I have to say it because I don't think a lot of people know this. It's a rule of money. You have to buy things for yourself when you make a lot of money, when your income goes up. You have to do it. You have to do it because if you don't do it, you send an energetic thing that you can't receive. And you have to be able to receive money. You have to be able to receive money to get money. It's tough for open-hearted people who want to help others and who don't really care that much about money. I mean, I like money, but I'm not motivated by money. I don't like to not get money, but I'm not motivated by money. I'm not going to give any money to Salmon because Salmon's going to be making his own bank. Salmon is like super extended right now. So Salmon's going to buy me some champagne because I encouraged him to double back in. Salmon, you better be. We're going to meet up in Poland, but you gotta buy me some champagne. You gotta do it. Salmon probably will win more than me. We know Salmon's gonna have the Lambo, though. We do know Salmon's gonna have the Lambo. Salmon's gotta get wine for everybody on the Periscope. He's gotta ship it. He's gotta be generous. So you do have to accept some stuff, and I've told myself that what I want for myself, because I'm sending my parents on a trip, with to Hawaii, all expense paid. I'm sending my wife's gonna be able to go on a retreat with her mom and our new baby, and maybe I'll get a trip for myself, but I know I have to get myself some wine, some nice wine. I think I'm gonna be ironic, and I think I'm gonna get a Rothschild wine. I think I'm gonna get some Chateau Lafite Rothschild. I think I'm gonna get some Mouton Rothschild. I think I'm gonna get it because I think it's ironic. I got to give back to the cabal, right? I got to throw a little bit of cash back to the cabal after I take it all. And they're losing everything, so I got to take a little bit. I probably will do that, to be honest, because that wine is some of the most expensive wine in the world, and I would never dream of buying it under normal circumstances. But look, what I want to talk about here is that don't be surprised if the internet goes off. Don't be surprised if Trump's account gets banned. Don't be surprised if tons of these accounts get banned. Um, if you don't believe that this shit is coming, if you don't believe that this shit is coming, I mean, it is coming. The military is completely mobilized right now. And one of the big Q posts was "Watch the waters." The Navy is never been more present off the coast. China's Navy is mobilizing. We have been having troop deployments going on behind the scenes for the last 2 weeks. Incredible numbers of C-130 transport planes moving people across the country. We are heavily mobilized for drills. Okay? As I always say this, that they're doing drills. Well, but you notice there's no public attention about these drills. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so it's going to drop. I don't know if it's going to drop before the 14th or after, but I want you guys to. This is the big message I want to send to you guys. Okay? Big message is that don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. My account probably won't get deleted because I'm not big enough. and I'm not poking the bear enough. But if Trump's account gets banned, if you start to seeing all these accounts get banned, if you see the internet go off, don't stress about it at all. Don't stress about it at all. If anything, I almost look at it like it's a positive, because that just shows that we're so ahead of the game. We're so aware of what their plans are that they're fucked. They're completely fucked. Yeah, we're getting closer to victory. I have zero doubt about victory, guys. I got zero doubt about it. But we are in biblical times. We are in biblical times. And the last thing I'm gonna say here. Well, so there are Chinese troops in Canada. They have exclusive zones in Canada. They also have it in Argentina, a lot of other countries. Rumor has it they also got some space in West Texas. But, and you remember, you guys also heard that, the Chinese were talking about basically how they had their person, Dianne Feinstein. I've said this before, okay? When I was at UPenn and I was working on strategic defense initiatives and critical resources and critical infrastructure, identifying threats, I identified as a college student that we did not have, that all of our dependency for rare earth metals was on China, and that America actually had rare earth metals, but we had shut down the mines. And the big mine that we had in the United States was in California and it had been shut down. And that Dianne Feinstein had shut it down under the Environmental Protection Act. Okay, I was not aware at this time about the cabal or any of this stuff. My response was just, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Why are we doing this? And so we included in a report that we should reopen the mine in California and open other mines in Utah, etc., where there's deposits of rare earth metals, because rare earth metals, an example would be neodymium. These are very rare metals, rare earth metals, right? And they're used in precision targeting in electronics. So if you don't have rare earth metals, you can't do precision bombing, because every single one of those missiles has a rare earth metal in it. And now China has 95% of control about this stuff. Dianne Feinstein gave it up. So, she used the Environmental Protection Act to shut it down. And note this with environmentalists. You are not going to find a true fucking environmentalist. You're not going to find a bigger one than me. I love animals. I hate animal cruelty. I'm all about nature. I'm all about clean air, clean water. I find the sort of slum expansion of bullshit, industrial garbage, all this, whether it's making new housing. I hate new developments. I hate all this stuff. I really hate it. I hate seeing nature get infringed upon. I have a connection to Earth, to Gaia. And as a man, I'm a protector. Okay? I'm a simp for Gaia. Every man on this planet should be a simp for Gaia. We are here to fight and to protect this planet from things that want to give it harm. That's what men do. They protect. We're protecting our woman. I'm not even low key, man. I had a big fight with my family, like a very big fight that no one understood, because they cut down a holly tree at our joint property and there was no reason to cut it down. And I love that tree. It really hurt. I got so upset and so angry that they cut down this fucking tree. They just killed a fucking tree for no reason. So I am definitely a tree hugger. But look, and I can feel a connection with certain trees. I can feel a connection with them. And I will actually just sit underneath them and I'll touch them, and I love them. I love trees. Some fucking retard in the manosphere is gonna look at this stuff and they're gonna be like, Pat Stebbin, oh my god, look at this faggot. No, I mean literally, I love trees, and so fuck you if you don't like trees. I love this planet. You're never gonna find a bigger environmentalist than me. But they use this stuff to fuck over the planet. Actually, they actually use this stuff to fuck over the planet, and they'll take people who care about the environment, and they will literally say that okay, we can't mine coal in the United States because it's bad for the environment. And then they will import coal from China. So you have what happens. You have worse conditions for humans, but forget about that even. Because that's not an environmentalist, right? Who cares about people? So more Chinese people die because they're in shitty mines. But there's tons more air pollution because none of that stuff's captured. And then you have to transport it to the United States, which is why people who are like, oh, the climate accords, you didn't support the Paris Accord. They're fucking dumb. They're just fucking stupid. They have no idea how this stuff works. They have no idea. They look at a country and they don't understand global trade routes. And you can tell them that. You can say, like I've said, okay, I support restrictions on fossil fuels. I support restrictions on coal mine in America, so long as it's the same for China. And actually, if you tell a lot of environmentalists here, they'll agree with it. But when you tell them, well, the accords don't do that, the accords actually give leeway for China to continue to expand their mining for the next 20 to 30 years, their response is just like, and then you tell them, yeah, and actually America's cut down its emissions, but every single bit that America cuts down its emissions, China doubles its emissions. No, I can't think about it. They can't even think about the fact that under Trump, emissions went down. And I'm also going to make the point that carbon doesn't fucking matter. That's a whole nother conversation. I'm just saying, accept the argument that carbon's the real issue. It doesn't make any fucking sense. So, as a young Padawan at University of Pennsylvania, I was aware of these things. I was aware of this crap. But they're going down. It's over. And you can see this stuff about how far they're going with it, right? You have now the Pope, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. Everybody is going together to create, this is going to be, I forget the name that they use, but, we need to have a global organization that's going to take care of these things for us, and they're going to take care of us, and, they're going to set all these regulations. And now you have a bill in the New York State, legislature that's trying to mandate these vaccinations, which, by the way, mRNA vaccine, they've admitted, it's like, well, here's what they're saying about the vaccine, guys. Inclusive capitalism. That's it. Here's what they're saying about the vaccine. Okay. Well, first off, if you're pregnant, you shouldn't take it because it's going to make you infertile. Because mRNA vaccines. What an mRNA vaccine does, basically, guys. I mean, I'm not a microbiologist or whatever, a DNA person. But what they basically do is they tell your DNA to do different things. And in the case of a vaccine, you might be wondering, why does that work? It tells your vaccine to basically not acknowledge the existence of the virus, which means to not, create some big sort of response to it. But there's not really a lot of proof that these things work. They're kind of more conceptual, and the mRNA can code different things as well. And so one of the big things that it codes is your fertility, right? Your ability to produce sperm, your ability to produce eggs, because this requires a lot of cell replication. So what we've got here is we got a vaccine that they're telling us that the vaccine is not, it might make you infertile. So if you're pregnant, you definitely shouldn't take it because you could lose your baby and become infertile. Big warning sign across the board, guys. Big fucking warning sign. If someone says, you can't take this if you're pregnant, this is actually a great general thing with Big Pharma. Don't take this if you're pregnant because it could really fuck you up. Usually a sign you shouldn't take it if you're not pregnant because it'll fuck you up. Usually that's the indication. But in this case, it's like, well, you could go infertile from it. But here's the bigger thing. Then they're saying, well, it might not even protect you against the virus. You might be able to get the virus again from asymptomatic carriers. So what does that mean? You have to get more vaccines? A. B. You just can't make this shit up, guys. It's so fucking ridiculous. You still have to wear a mask. You still have to stay 6 feet apart, which again, if the masks work, why are you staying 6 feet apart? 14 days to slow the spread. 14 days to slow the spread, guys. 14 more days. That's all we gotta do. 14 days to slow the spread. What they're gonna do, it does change your DNA. It's an mRNA vaccine. RNA. Now, RNA drugs are a little bit different than DNA drugs. Again, I don't want to jump into things where I don't have the full competence. RNA modifies your DNA. Basically, RNA is how your what's the word I want to use to describe this? It's basically like it's like when your DNA is copied, it starts as an RNA strand, and so you can modify it with drugs to effectively change the expression of your DNA. Yeah, DNA creates RNA. Now, I don't know if mRNA goes and starts to is an RNA thing that tries to change the DNA itself. I'm not sure. Well, you guys know the reason, by the way, that yeah, it's an adapter. I don't know if mRNA goes and fundamentally changes the DNA permanently, but it certainly changes your DNA as it's being expressed. And if the mRNA replicates inside of you, which I think it does, believe it does, then what you have occurring is there's a DNA program that's replicating inside of you that's foreign to your own DNA, which is probably why they've been injecting foreign DNA into the beta versions of vaccines. Now, if you thought the previous vaccines were bad, you are in for a very big surprise with this one. And again, I want to say I'm not even so certain that every vaccine is necessarily cost benefits analysis. You have to do every single one of them. You have to check every single one of them. I think it is pretty clear that vaccines have gotten rid of measles and chickenpox and rubella, and there's differences between a live virus vaccine. Okay, I think live virus vaccines are effective. Now, you still have to maybe weigh the cost benefits of using a live virus vaccine, because then you have the preservatives and aluminum and shit in it. I think if a vaccine's not live virus, it's pretty much useless and just negative. But yeah, Trump is definitely pushing it as a ruse. Guys, go back to 2018. Who is Trump supporting for Secretary of State in Georgia? Raffensperger. Now, you can think Trump's an idiot, but Trump immediately after the election or around the election created, the sort of monitoring of the election. So war is deception, guys. War is deception. Yeah, Trump talked about it as well. We know Trump's not going to make vaccines mandatory, and probably there's a sting operation going on in Big Pharma, because I want to say this. Vaccines, again, I mentioned this in the previous Periscope, but vaccines do not go through regular legal jurisdiction. There's a vaccine court. They're fast-tracked automatically. They don't have to go through really trials. You can't sue vaccine producers, or there's a cap at like $100,000 per vaccine injury, like to just settle out with that. But the reason for this is that they've used it as like a national security thing. So it's technically not even considered to be a medical drug, guys. It's considered to be a biologic. Okay? It's not a drug, it's a biologic. And so it has a different legal criteria from every other drug. Yeah, and what was Bill Gates? What was his thing? Luciferase. Patent number, 060606. I don't know if it's true, but it's the mark of the beast, right? Probably the mark of the beast. Certainly you should think of it like that. I can tell you there is a 0% chance I'm going to get a vaccine that doesn't work, that might make me infertile, has already killed some people in the trials, for something that I have a 99.99% survival rate chance of. chance of surviving, right? No way I'm taking it. But they're going to push it, and they're trying to push everything. And I want to circle this stuff back. Well, I want to circle it back here. I want to circle it back because we are in fact not going to have it happen. Subcommunication. Do you think that it's a good strategy for the cabal to literally roll out and push every single thing that they possibly could want on us at once? Why would they do that if they didn't have any other option? Okay. I'm a dating and relationship coach. I deal with women and I deal with subcommunication, and women lie to you. Very often they lie to you. Very often you are going to hear things that did not happen. And to figure out the truth, one of the big things is to check the subcommunication, right? A girl can say she likes you, but then she doesn't really respond to you. She doesn't engage with you. Okay. Subcommunication indicates that she's not really engaged, right? Talk a good game, but she doesn't actually, act on it. Okay. And converse, right? Every one of you, I got a couple of, got Salmon, we got Brooding Sea, we got a lot of, we got a lot of you guys on here who go and pick up girls. You know that one of the biggest signs a girl's going to sleep with you is when she says she's not going to sleep with you. She comes to your house, she goes up into your house, she goes up into your apartment, she goes into your bedroom. Salmon PUA doesn't pick up. Okay, whatever. Maybe. Salmon, you're gonna be fine. We can talk. We can talk, brother. We can talk. But look, we all know that when you get to that stage, it's like we're not gonna have sex. Chances of you having sex is extremely high. Yeah, with the Lambo, you will. Salmon, with the Lambo, you got it. With the Lambo, you got it. It's not really my angle, but it works. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who Matt Hancock and I don't know who that guy is, but I mean, for fuck's sake, these people are so pathetic. So we know that when a girl says that, we know that she's about to, she's gonna have sex with you because she's thinking about sex, right? She says it. She's also brought herself to the situation. If she didn't want to have sex with you, she wouldn't be in your bedroom taking off her clothes, right? She wouldn't be doing that if she wasn't going to have sex with you. Okay, so the point is that subcommunication, you guys can understand, the cabal does the same stuff here in their own way. The reason we haven't been able to understand the cabal and see them, most of us couldn't see them for a very long period of time, is because the cabal was very patient. And they knew that they understood psychology, and they understood how to pace the public, and they understood how to gradually guide the public. But what happened? Well, we had the energy shift, and people started to wake up. And this happened 2012, started to accelerate, and you can start to feel the energy beforehand. I think it's important to look at 2012 as a tipping point. And so the energy was building a little bit beforehand. And one of the reasons that they put in Obama, right? Because the population had to be mollified. And it looked like it was working at first. But little by little, more and more people woke up, and then you had Trump, and you had the white hats that came into the picture. And so now the awakening is happening really fast. So things that were supposed to happen 10 years from now, probably 10 years from now, are all happening now in a compressed timeline. We've been talking a little bit about, like, you got Greg Buttigieg, right? Whose speeches are literally carbon copy Obama. You got Beto O'Rourke. You got Dan Crenshaw. You got all these cabal stooges, obvious stooges. They emerge out of nowhere. No one knows who these people are. They're all caricatures. Women love them. Women are obsessed with Beto. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? oh my God, Beto's so hot. Women love Beto. Yeah, I'm sure some women were stupid enough to be memed into this stuff. But come on, guys, really, really, like this is the stupidest shit you could possibly hear in the world. All astroturfed. This guy who looks like we have a guy who looks like a twink. We have a literal we have literally somebody who's quote unquote gay, who's actually part of the I don't even know if that's true, to be honest. With all respect to gay people, I don't even think that's true. Loki did some pretty good research on Buttigieg. Buttigieg is Maltese. He's connected to the Order of Saint John, which is basically where the Templars went. So we've got this whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. Beto probably killed someone. I don't know about that. Maybe he did. I think that's right. I think he did kill someone with his car. We have Dan Crenshaw, comes from a big oil family connected to a lot of dark projects in Texas, emerges out of nowhere, has an eye patch, just so everybody remembers who he is, remembers that, he's a veteran. Hey, Dan, you had to give up your eye. Dan, if you really want to make it, you just got to give up your eye, and then we're going to do everything for you. Yeah, they've got all sorts of fucking, sorts of fucking stuff. They got all sorts of stuff. Whatever. Literally does not matter. These people came in, total failures, fell apart, and you can tell that these people were not. They were like robots that had not figured out how to play their role yet. These were people who were supposed to be groomed over a long period of time, like John McCain, groomed over a long period of time, like John McCain, to play a role. Dan Crenshaw was supposed to become an elder statesman. Beto O'Rourke. You also have like Julian Castro, right? They canceled him pretty quick because he looks like some sort of science experiment. Julian Castro. He looks like someone like created him in a lab. So look, they're throwing all these people out there, and they're not. They fail. They fall flat. Everything's falling flat. And so now you have literally the most overt shit in the world. You've got the Rockefellers, you've got the Rothschilds, you got the Pope, and they're all there trying to do some inclusive capitalism campaign. Like, let's get them all in the same place. Let's get them all together. They're all going to reveal themselves. It's over, guys. It's over. The subcommunication, the harder they push, whenever I see them putting more stuff out about a vaccine, some people contact me. They're like, I'm so scared. They're going to do this. Are they going to do this? No, they're not going to do it. If they were going to be successful in doing it, you wouldn't fucking know that it was coming. It would hit you and you would have no fucking idea. Like 9/11, you would have no idea. You would accept the narrative. Now, when they do anything, everyone's immediately like, we know what you're doing. And no, we're not going to do it. And you can keep throwing media at us, but we already know. Every single one of their plans is falling apart. And so, guys, I'm going to leave you with this. We're winning. We're in the end game. Okay. Hopefully, one more week. My intention is to have 2 more COVID cabals, maybe 3. It's a big week. 2 to 3 COVID cabals before the 14th. Okay. But I don't know if the internet's going to get shut down. I don't know what's going to happen. So if that happens, if all this stuff occurs, if your favorite people, if all this stuff happens, just know that we're in a good position. The military is deployed across the entire country. It's deployed across the entire country. Yep. Bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, bases loaded. Let's fucking go, boys. I mean, we are definitely in the 9th inning. And I think it's going to be more like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be one of those 3 days that it happens. I guess it could go to Monday too. But all right, my friends, I think we're good for today. I'm going to do a dating relationship tomorrow, and I will see you later.